Welcome, friends, to our El Básico con Sabor series, where we look at how we can add flavor to our 8-count basic. Today, we are playing with how we can redirect from any step of the 8-count basic to change directions if you want to start a whole new flow, to again, respect what's going on with the music, and just get some improvisation opportunities within the basic itself. So let's get started with step number 1.
Oftentimes the teacher will show us lined up along the wall, we're heading this way, but after that first step, number 2 would take us into the middle of the room. We don't want to do that because we'd be going into the other lane of dancers. So we can reorient ourselves diagonal wall with a simple open step instead of the back step. And that's an advantageous position to keep us within our lane.
Correct. All of the sideways movements now continue to have us traveling instead of, like
It
you
gives
said,
us good vision of what's ahead.
which can be very difficult for new tango dancers, especially if you're dancing in a close embrace. Sometimes it's hard to feel like you can see.
So if we can go in one direction, we can probably also go in another direction.
Correct. And this is lovely because it immediately starts to redirect you from the beginning of the basic. You have lots of opportunities to continue in that direction. Stay tuned because at the end of this video, we will have a didactic demo that will show you all kinds of possibilities of ways of connecting and redirecting and mixing all these options up. So stay tuned for that for sure. So yes, just remember, just because we start this way and just because we might have a weight change doesn't mean it just has to be that. We can take our partner in multiple different directions right off of that first step.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now, so let's say we've taken number 1 and we're diagonal wall. We introduced the idea if we can go in one direction, we can go in the other. We can also do, so instead of going into right to right outside position with our partner, we can take this into a left to left side position.
So for step number 2, a lot of times when you want to redirect the partnership, we like to use the term me or thee, right? So we are either moving ourselves around our partner or we are asking our partner to move around us.
Right, and as you know, we're using that dissociation to either step beyond our partner or to allow our partner to step beyond us.
Right, creating space or blocking space. That's another big part of being able to redirect and rotate throughout your movement. So step number 2, we have the option, like we said, to take our partner across as opposed to joining them with that movement.
So let's assume we've either positioned ourselves diagonal wall or we've used a number 1 step to put us diagonal wall. Now we can continue a turn to the arm side and then progress that way.
Yes.
But let's assume that we've started in a typical school position figure. We're facing straight down our lane.
It happens.
We can, instead of going to a right outside position where it's right side to right side, we can go to a left outside position. We can make that even a little more fancier.
We like that.
This time we can open that and do a little sacada. Or we could continue that into a molinete.
More rotation. We like that as well.
Yeah.
And this can be a great option if the couple in front of you has stopped to do something and now you need to all of a sudden stop and redirect what you had planned to do. This gives you opportunities to improvise on any of your steps, which we like. Yes.
So after our number 1 step, we're on the arm side legs. We can pivot on that.
Creates a lovely back ocho motion, which you can continue or do whatever you like after that.
It could be a nice displacement.
Yes, that's also a lovely one. That's fun. So plenty of options on your open step, and any of these options that we give you to redirect your step number 2, anytime, that means anytime you have an open step coming up on the left foot, you can use any of these options.
Yeah, and that's a good point. That fits with our other series where we talk about getting into the cool moves from any step.
Yes.
So that might be a good one to compare. We'll put a link in the description.
You can check that out and open up even more possibilities off of each of your steps. Moving on to step number 3. Normally, step number 3, we have...
Normally, we would start 1, 2, 3. But suppose instead we open up, which can give us our ocho cortado. So it's a shortcut to the cruzada.
Right, exactly. So the whole thing would be in place for 1, opening up for 2. Again, don't put too much forward energy for here because we're just going to rebound it right to a nice sideways rotation to create cruzada. Then we're off.
And by the way, that might look like it's going back against line of dance, but we have bodies with space around us that we should not tailgate the partner ahead.
Yes.
And those movements, rather than going straight back, we're taking it sort of around us. It's within our reserve space.
Exactly. A lot of times the difference between a more advanced dancer versus a beginner dancer is recognizing that things don't have to be in straight angles, straight sideways, straight forward, right? We have ranges of possibility. And the more that we curve movements around our body or curve them around our partner's body, helps keep us all centered, keeps us over our axis, and like
within
you
our
said,
lane.
exactly, within our little dance bubble. So nice. That one's a fun one, again, for anytime you need to redirect very quickly from traveling forward. So second option for step number 3.
We've got 1, 2, 3.
We can rotate to leader backing line of dance. This is a good technique to start opening up rotation really anywhere, is the idea of once you are on a foot, you have the ability to pivot on that foot to send that step in any direction you want to. Moving on.
We're up to number 4.
We like
halfway there.
Exactly.
1, 2, 3. So our next step will be an open step with our hand side legs. And what can we do with that? Well, we can open up to the hand side, as we showed with, what was it, number 2? We can do a little sacada. If we're really venturesome, we can even go a little further to get a gancho.
Yes. And if you are wanting to just make something simple, again, anytime you're bringing your partner across the body, it's an excellent opportunity to just move into molinete or just continue rotating. So you have many
or
options.
cambio de frente.
Right, many options. But I like the idea that, again, anytime we have a forward walking step, at any point in time, we can ask our partner to cross the track or we can cross the track. And keeping that in mind opens up even more possibilities.
I like that.
Yes, nice. Okay, so we have the redirection to the arm side that we have as an option.
Now, earlier we showed ocho cortado going backwards. This time, so we've got this leg free. How about we go forward for the ocho cortado?
With this particular entrance to that ocho cortado movement, because we're not coming from that rebound that sets up that cruzada, we're going to have to be particularly clear in our lead. So if we get up to that open step number 4, so we have 1, 2, 3, we're opening up for 4. Right here, we want to make sure that, if you notice, we are purposely in an open position, and Arjun is going to bring that lead more through the partnership, almost kind of feeling of like that collapsing inward to get that cruzada, because if we go around the partnership, you will get that pivot every single time.
Right, or if I simply go back this way, they'll just step through.
Correct. So if you see it from this angle, if we step sideways into that movement, right here, if you notice the shape of the frame, like Arjun said, it's almost like he's gonna take like his elbow in a way and kind of move it where he wants that leg to go.
Yep.
But if you can catch it, this is a fun kind of surprise moment that a lot of people will not be expecting. Nice. So we had across the body for various things. We had rotating down the line of dance to continue to the cruzada. And then we have our third option.
1, 2, 3, 4. Surprise.
Yes. Nice. We do recommend, if possible, and if it fits with the music, a little bit of syncopation there. Kind of helps build up that energy to really pull the follower's foot underneath.
You might have also noticed that I also did the cruzada. One, it looks fancy.
Looks nice.
So
Yes.
it's a nice decoration,
Yes.
but it is actually functional.
Correct.
When I create a movement that I want to, that complements my partner's movement, it makes my body move in a way that my partner wants to move. It kind of greases the wheels to make it work better.
Exactly. And as followers, good followers will use their visual capabilities to pick up on clues like that, not just what they're feeling. So by providing a visual clue as well as the physical lead, it kind of helps, like you said, bring all those things together.
Now we get to the heart of the figure, the cruzada. Let's say we've reoriented diagonal wall, right outside position, 3, 4, 5. We can, instead of a typical resolution, which would be stepping back, I could bring my partner across, again,
There's
as
that
we've shown
lovely-
before,
yep,
with all the
exactly.
options for a sacada or a gancho, a start of a molinete,
Yes,
etc.
all the options that we talked about, and anytime you're bringing your partner across your track.
Yeah, so maybe an idea there is to recognize when we're in a certain position, this is simply an open step, and wherever an open step occurs, we can grab it for something fun.
Exactly right. So as we had our redirection to the hand side, we can also redirect to the arm side as well.
And this is going to require me stepping around to bracket, center my partner's pivoting foot.
And coming out of this with a back ocho is fairly unique because most of the time we think, okay, let me get into cruzada, here's my ocho, right? So by actually creating the opposite of what your partner is expecting, that can be a fun surprise. So, and then we also can keep our partner on the standing leg from the cruzada
4, 5.
take advantage of.
So with a little lifting indication, we can carousel calacita around.
Exactly. Followers can do any kind of embellishments that they like. The secret is, like what Arjun said, is that the cruzada oftentimes wants to land with energy going backwards. So by creating that lift through your partner, you are expressly telling your partner, stay put. I'm going to do some fun stuff. You stay on your axis.
And we hope you know that it's not a lift like this.
Correct.
Not a literal lift. It's an expansion that kind of brings us a little bit taller, which has the effect.
Yeah, you might want to think of an inhale, expanding your chest and your lungs with air. But yeah, those can be some fun, unexpected ways of exiting out of the cruzada. Moving on to step number 7, since really the options that we gave on step number 5 for the cruzada was exiting out of the cruzada, and that is technically step 6. So you have your step 6 variations already. Moving on to step number 7, we have come up to the cruzada and we have exited out of the cruzada. So let's say that your normal exit is your typical, and now we need to figure out what to do with step number 7.
We can do a mirror image of one we did earlier and pivot around the hand side.
Here, we're going to create a little rebound movement to create a back ocho. You can continue with back ochos, you can take it circular to molinete, you can do whatever you like. But again, breaking the mold of here's my tango ending, right, all the time, using just something simple as a little rebote to keep the movement going. Fun little surprise there, unexpected.
Right, that rebote provides some energy for the next move, so it facilitates the pivot.
Right, and speaking of using energy, our final variation is going to actually use the energy off of count number 6, coming out of the cruzada to redirect to Americana. That also unexpected. A lot of people think, again, I'm heading into my tango close, we're resolving, but like you have often pointed out, the music doesn't always resolve every phrase. A lot of times they like to bleed into the next phrase and create crescendos and all kinds of fun stuff. So if you don't feel that the phrase is really resolving itself, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do that resolution every single time.
Right.
And this allows us to continue the movement. So let's do just from the cruzada here, so that way we aren't all the way over there by the time we get to this variation. So again, you must use the energy coming from step number 6 to create that rotation. We can't be thinking tango close, but then halfway in the middle decide. This is one of those that you need to know ahead of time, that that's what you're going to do.
Right, the leaders will want to be aware of possibilities, and that the energy, the momentum can facilitate certain moves.
Exactly.
Number 8, right at the end.
So let's say you have gotten all the way through your basic steps and you're like, oh, I wanted to do something. I'm going to do something on the next move. Well, we can use step number 8 to get us going for that next one.
Right. Typically, number 8 will be that closing, which has kind of a resolution, a finality feel to it, and you're ready to start over again.
But as previously mentioned, if the music is not calling for that resolution, if it's moving straight through the phrase, we can feel free to move straight through the phrase as well.
Yeah.
So your first option, just omit.
Yeah.
So if you're dancing along and you have figured out what you want to do next, you can literally just move right through. You will need to make sure musically that you are making allowances and acceptances for later on when the phrase does resolve itself, because you'll be on a different foot, different timing. But again, music is king. If the music says don't resolve, why resolve?
Right. And by the way, with number 7 in the school figure, we've opened up. If I want to just continue, I still need to come through that axis position where we have the smallest shadow underneath us. And why is that important? Because it gives a very clear focus of where we are, both for our partner and for ourselves.
Also, you can use that, like we've said, because it's just a closing, you can use that to redirect that closing to face diagonal wall, diagonal center, wherever you want to head off to next. So it seems like a very simple, just kind of throwaway step, but we can utilize it to our advantage to continue the flow of the dance. We would love to see what combinations you can come up with just simply by redirecting each step of the 8-count basic. Don't forget to look for our next episode where we are going to be exploring repeating movements to add texture, color, and interest to your 8-count basic. Stick around for the didactic demo, and we will see you on the next one. Abrazos.
El invierno con su blanco ajuar, ya la escarcha comenzó a brillar en mi vida sin amor. Profundo padecer que me hace comprender que hallarse sola es un horror. Y al ver cómo soplan en mi corazón vientos fríos de desolación, quiero llorar, porque mi alma lleva